Hello everyone and welcome to another video with me, Umber Rays, and today we're going to be taking a look at all the information from the JP live stream, and a little bit after that we will talk about basically the live stream and the elephant in the room. I'm sure many of you are wondering, given what happened the previous month with JP doing the things that it did and making a lot of players quit, including me. You may be wondering, well, what is Alims Response? Well, I will talk about that, but first, I'd actually like to get the news out of the way. So we're going to just jump right into it, and there's a fair amount of news to talk about, as this seems like it is a pretty big update for the game. So let's get right into it. Yeah, I chose good music for this one. Alright, so getting into it, let's first talk about the really important stuff, which is the addition of a brand new feature to do with Chocobo Exploration. For those of you who aren't familiar with Chocobo Exploration on the JP side, basically what it is you have this thing that you can access and put your characters in for so much time and get, amount of trust back. And it's just however many times you can do it, just adjusting your schedule or whatever to basically do it. It's a little bit different from the global side, but now it's going to be even more different because Chocobo Exploration is adding a slot feature. And this slot feature is, well, a little questionable. 3 extra temporary slots, 500 lapis per slot for 30 days. So basically you're not even getting these as permanent increases, you're actually renting them for 500 lapis. As you can see right there in the picture, that is what it looks like. So you can spend 500 lapis to unlock each of those. There may be some kind of other terms or deals with it, but right now what we are 100% sure on is it's 500 lapis for 30 days for extra slot. I'm not overly crazy about this. For one thing, I mean, if you want to spend 500 lapis for 30 days, I think it's pretty bad value, even if you get a fair amount of extra TMR towards it. TMR isn't super, as you go more and more into the game and you get more and more equipment and material and whatnot, you really don't need a ton of extra TMR farming a lot of the time. So I'm not overly crazy about this, but at the same time, I guess it's harmless. Like, yeah, you have the choice of doing this or not. It just feels like another way of getting more lapis out of people. And I'm not sure how essential it is. Maybe some other players out there would like to comment on it in the comments, whether they like it or not. I'm not overly crazy about this. Also this month, it should be said that the series boss battle will be Final Fantasy 15, which is the next picture in the slide. It will be against Arden. Arden's unlock skills were 1, single target consecutive damage, increase damage skill, as well as a % attack up and % attack up when dual wielding, so true dual wield bonus. We kind of knew about this last month. Oh, sorry, it's not that image, it's the next image. The next image, I missed it. Anyway, beat that and it will give extra abilities to Final Fantasy 15 characters, just like how the other series boss battles have worked. Nothing really much more to say about that. Also, a new Esper fight will be coming to JP, Ashura 2-star. How difficult it will be, not entirely sure at this point, but should be interesting. Bahamut 2-star wasn't ridiculously difficult if you had a fairly decent team. It depends how they've changed the Ashura mechanics. Obviously, will be pretty strong, but we'll see. Bahamut 2-star gives me hope that this won't be impossible for most players anyway. We also know that we'll be getting a slew of enhancements, and by slew I mean 4 characters will be enhanced on May 30th, which is tomorrow. Ignis, Yigo, Franus, and Magna will all get their enhancements. Yigo was kind of left out, so it's nice to see. The 4 stars I think are irrelevant at this point, other than the 4 stars boss battles, but Yigo will be interesting to see if they can actually do anything with Ego. And Ignis is probably the most interesting of all of them, because Ignis is a character that is over a year old on the JP side and has been irrelevant for about, I don't know, about half of a year and a half. I don't know. But really, Ignis's kit is super out of date, and him as a unit is really unimpressive. So I'm very curious what they give Ignis at all to make him relevant again. But it should be interesting for Ignis fans. I guess they could just release another Ignis later. Also, this was kind of a weird live stream. There was no raid minigame. Tickets will be sent either way. It was not specified how many tickets will be sent out, but some number of gift tickets will show up in your inbox. So, you know, enjoy them. Use them on June 1st. July 1st is a while away. And we found out what is going to be our new Mog King event. And once again, I'm wrong, so you know it's working as intended. Haha. So, Final Fantasy IV will be our new Mog King. For the month, free unit will be Rosa, 5-star that goes up to 7-star. Play the event, get currency, and you will get your Rosa, basically. She's classed as a healer, physical attacker, so not a pure healer, but some attack skills. Limit Burst is AoE damage and AoE regen. TMR is a two-handed bow, 36 attack, 98 magic, 140 spirit, 20% MP. Super Trust Mastery accessory, 26 defense, 38 spirit, limit burst per turn, and limit burst fill rate up. Pretty nice little free unit. I actually do quite love the free units that show up in this game. Gentiana last month, and now Rosa looks like she has just a really nice bow. Like on the JP side, sometimes I really wish for more bow equipment. So yeah, cool. I like it. Super Trust Mastery, I mean, you can earn it fairly easy providing you're playing the event and grinding a bit. So yeah, I think it's good too. Not much else to say about that. Our 4 to 6-star on the banner, however, will be Cid. Hey, Cid. Finally, a Cid from a Final Fantasy has shown up in the game. It only took 3 years and 6 months. Wow, that was a long time. But anyway, Cid's TMR, 20% defense, 20% HP, and auto attack up. So kind of an attacker material with some survivability on it. Seems fine, but doesn't seem incredible compared to some of the other 4-stars we've seen. So that have more like super TMR level equipment. So this feels, you know, okay. Cid's got a big smile. He's just happy to be here. And you got to appreciate a guy who's happy to be here. Speaking of happy to be here, say hello to Palom and Porom. They are in the game. They will be a 5 to 7-star unit. Limit Burst, AoE, Fire, Ice, and Thunder, Spirit ignoring damage, so mage damage. TMR is a materia, 20% MP, 40% magic, limit burst per turn. Super Trust Mastery is a robe, 100 MP, 70 magic, and 68 spirit. Pretty strong little robe too, Super TMR with a lot of extra MP. Great for mages. Whether Palom and Porom out damage a lot of the other mages on JP, but it'll be interesting to see. As for the Fire, Ice, Thunder, Limit Burst, boy, I hope there's never a boss that absorbs all three, or absorbs one and then makes the Limit Burst not work. Anyway, a little questionable on the Limit Burst design, but flavorful nonetheless. Excuse me, I just did the live stream and now doing this right away. And you may, of course, who else could it be for our CG character, but CG Cecil. CG Holy Knight Cecil is a debuffer support unit. He was not classed on stream. Sorry, he was not classed on stream as a magic tank. He was classed as a debuffer and support, so we'll have to wait till tomorrow to find out in the data whether or not he is a a healer, or he's just a buffer, or he's just a debuffer. It's kind of a weird thing to hear, is basically everybody's been pegging this guy as his CG form being a tank, and now we find out maybe not. Really hoping he's not just more DPS though. Limit Burst is AoE damage, AoE limit burst gauge, except self, and AoE 5-turn damage mitigation. He's a paladin, he's protecting people, makes sense. TMR, Materia, 30% HP, 30% of spirit with heavy shield, 30% spirit with heavy armor. Great for tanks, especially magic tanks. Heavy armor as well as heavy shield, basically getting 60% spirit and 30% HP. Really nice stats, but also limited, can't just throw it on a healer, so I think it's, you know, fairly balanced, but it's a strong TMR to be sure. Super TMR is a sword, 85 attack, 165 spirit, and 20% spirit. Just a strong Super TMR, incredibly high spirit. If he's at all a spirit chainer, this Super TMR will basically be necessary for him. Also kind of depends. It'll be interesting to see what his equipment loadout looks like, I guess. I'm not even sure. We don't even know at this point if he's true dual wield or true dual hand, but unless the news has popped in-game, but I doubt it will pop in-game until tomorrow. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see the rest of his kit because there's not enough details right now to make a judgment on him. Event equipment will be a materia, defense and spirit up some percentage when HP falls below a certain threshold. Heavy shield, 44 defense, 36 spirit, 60% fire resistance, minus 30% ice resistance. Good for fire, bad for ice kind of thing. And then after that, we got into Season 3 details. If you don't want to hear Season 3 details, I will put this up and you can put the video on mute until I put my hand down. 3, 2, 1. So, Season 3 will begin on May 30th. Fina will lose her powers and become a blue mage and progressively get stronger and get more skills as Season 3 progresses. Season 3 is being said on stream as being a very long story, which is kind of scary because Season 2 was what most players would probably consider to be a little on the long side, and now Season 3 might be longer, so we'll see what happens with that. Characters were introduced, including a hard-boiled detective and some cool white girl in a white dress with like this really awesome sword thing, so interesting. Also, it should be noted that Blue Mage Fina is not a CG character now. At some point in the future, she will have a CG animation. Yeah, okay. Blue Mage Fina is a free story unit. You get her by just getting to Season 3. Healer and support class unit, 5 stars, HP, MP, ailment, heal, white magic, and blue magic capability. I guess she was a white mage before, but blue mages have blue mage healing abilities, so why can't we just, whatever. Limit burst, self magic, and spirit up, heals, and refresh. 3rd season, chapter 1 finish will give you white wind, AoE heal, and AoE heal over time. So that's at least blue magic, but we didn't really find out much else about blue mages at this point. So if you were hoping for more blue mage detail, sorry. And last but not least, getting out of the story content, we get into campaign stuff. The campaigns will be running from the 1st till the 7th, 1 a day, fest summons, guaranteed to be 4-star or higher. So it sounds like it will be in the fest summon pool, obviously trying to appease angry and disgruntled players, because this is the most generous fest thing we've seen thus far. And best of luck to everybody out there who is playing the game still. There will be a FF4 character battle where you can challenge once per day. You will battle a random FF4 character. If a rare character appears, you will get special rewards. So it's basically just a randomized gacha. I don't know if it will be difficult or not. Typical rewards are cactars and gill snappers. Rare rewards will be super TMR tickets and TMR mogs. So again, best of luck. And there will also be a fusion rate up for fusing cactars for 6 days. So get fusing, or 7 days, but yeah. So that basically concludes all of the regular news, and now I want to talk about the probably most uncomfortable live stream I've seen. And that's saying a lot, because we have seen some live streams where there has been some really uncomfortable things, but tonight was definitely the number one for me, because on the live stream started out in a basically a normal way, and I almost thought that Alim was not going to address the issue at all. Taking a look at the start of the stream, the music was going and everything, but it was very clear from that once we got through the opening pleasantries and schedule, that this was not a particularly going to be a happy opening to a stream. Basically, we had this kind of happy, joyful opening, and then we went into this really serious slump that ended with one of the more uncomfortable things I've ever seen on the live stream, and then we got everybody got really cheery again into all of the details and everything. But as you can see, the smiles kind of quickly fade as we get into what is basically a Q&A session with Hirano, who is the producer on the JP side, and yeah. There were a series of questions that he answered on stream, basically clarifying Alim's position as well as the events that happened last month. For those who don't know, again, I will reiterate very quickly. Last month, the Noctis banner came out and was split with CG King Rain. Definitely didn't make some players happy, but whatever. Few days later, there was a surprise banner where Luna Freya was on another split banner with a worse step up and was hidden from players. Even during last month's livestream, they did not announce it. There was just a hidden maintenance that was hinted at, and we had no idea what it meant. So it made a lot of JP players very incredibly angry, I should say, and then after that, it even made players quit. Most players did not quit because of bad luck. Most players did quit because it was a hidden banner and it felt incredibly bad. So getting into the Hirano Q&A, the tone took a very dramatic shift, answering questions that were the following. Question 1. Are we going to have any more surprise banners a la Luna Freya? Answer was, we are not going to do that again. Hirano admitted that this was his decision and the team agreed to it at first. He's reflecting on his actions. Now, I'm not a particularly big fan of this for a couple things. One, while it's nice that they've said they're never going to do this again, I don't know why he needs to reflect upon his actions. This should have been pretty evident that this was going to be an unpopular thing from the get-go. And I'm not complaining about this. I legit am trying to think of how the thought process could have gone here. And I just think that it was unacceptable. More than anything, I do feel like Alim is probably still being strong-armed by Square Enix into making decisions that are more financial-based to try and get what money they can out of this game, potentially given a small player base. Now, why do I think a small player base? For one thing, the tickets for the Fan Festa last year did not sell out on the JP side. There would have been some limitation, even if it was at a big venue. And the other thing that has kind of proven to me that Brave Exvius is not overly popular here in Japan is going to the FFBE Cafe. The only day where it was actually sold out that I saw in any of its time slots for the 6-ish days I went by was the day that Miso and Cero were there. And that does not indicate that the game is overly popular in the Osaka area. I cannot comment on Tokyo at this point, but it does seem like, when I talk about this game to people in Japan, most people's response is, oh, I know Final Fantasy, but I don't know this game. Again, I haven't talked to everyone in Japan. This is just my personal reflections. But either way, the fact that Hirono needs to reflect on his actions is kind of a bad joke to me. While it's nice to hear them say they will never do it again, actions speak louder than words, so really prove it here, Alim, if you want it. But anyway, there was a question 2, which I want to talk a little bit more about later. Moving on to question 3, how often are we going to see summon fests? Answer, it will change month to month. Pretty much guaranteed for the first of the month Mog King, but the rest may vary. So that's pretty much, I guess, a confirmation that pretty much, you know, all Mog Kings going forward will be festival characters. There was something that was said that there are 2 types of festivals. There are festivals and legend festivals, which I don't think is very good wording, and I don't think it's very good PR. People are already unhappy with summon festivals. At least most non-paying players are unhappy. And word of mouth does count for something in this day and age. So even if they aren't playing, I still think they hold some weight. But anyway, when it comes to this, legendary festivals are for Final Fantasy characters, and regular summon festivals are for Brave Exvius characters. But splitting them into 2 categories doesn't change the fact that there is a fair amount of summon festivals. So I guess at some point a raid summon festival could be possible too, and it's just something different. Either way, it was kind of vague and not a very satisfying answer. The way I interpret this is they will do whatever they feel is right for them in the number of summon festivals that we see in a month. Are there any plans to, question 4. Are there any plans to get some festival units from UOCs? Answer, there are no current plans. Explaining how too many UOCs were made available, people skipping banners, and using UOCs affecting their bottom line. So yes, summon festivals, 100% money, that's not a surprise at all. But I really think that this is kind of Alim passing the buck off to players and saying, hey, it's your fault that we have to do these summon festivals. You guys were skipping too many banners because of the number of UOCs we gave out. The number of UOCs wasn't incredibly high, at least not what it felt like. I feel like probably the thing that affected more than anything the number of UOCs was the special thing every month where whales can go super hard in on getting like even potentially a full set of UOCs for spending a ton of money and a ton of lapis on doing arena. But the UOC thing, I don't get it. I don't understand why they couldn't have made this more limited or something like that. I guess the argument that I hear a lot from the remaining JP players is, well, summon festivals are good. You get higher rates. And I do understand that, but it kind of hurt the free-to-player, which kind of hurts your word of mouth, which kind of just hurts the game overall. So I feel like this was probably a bad strategy. Either way, bottom line is the thing that comes in here, and it's about money. Question 5, what about planned updates? Answer, updates have been behind because we've been running into game-breaking bugs while trying to implement things. It's the same planned schedule, but if you're wondering why stuff is delayed on the JP side, it's because they are having problems, I guess, designing the game at this point. I've talked a little bit before about the idea of potentially building a new client, and I don't think it's easy or cheap, and it's definitely not going to happen at this point. But it almost feels like, you know, the longer you run one of these things, the more compounding problems you might have. Not a developer, just, I don't know, my feels, my ideas. But if they really wanted to, I feel like designing a new base for the game would probably go a long way towards that 30-year goal that they want this game to last for. But yeah, I'm not overly enthusiastic about it. Long story short, things are being delayed because they are running into bugs while trying to implement stuff, which I guess just doesn't really make me feel good about the competence, but it just I don't know. It doesn't matter. They're still putting out content on a regular basis, so they can't really complain too much about it. But it is probably a reason why stuff is behind. And now we got to talk about the last thing, which is just this question too, which was probably the most worrying thing, which was about the split banner last month. The split banner between Noctis and King Rain. There was a flat-out question that was asked whether or not this would ever happen again. Alim's answer was more or less, we'll try to make sure that this never happens again, which is 100% unsatisfactory and means that they are leaving enough wiggle room that they can do this again. The King Noctis, Prince Noctis, oof, I forgot. You're not a Jedi yet, son. They will not, there was no they could not give an answer that said, we will never do this again. And that means that this will happen again. At some point in the future, they have given themselves no obligation not to do this. Whenever they want, they can just put this out there and just be like, well, we never said we wouldn't do it again. We're going to do it when our bottom line is affected. And so these were kind of the big questions that a lot of people have been wondering on the JP side, and I find the answers personally, I'm not going to speak about for the community, every JP gamer, everybody who is still playing the JP side. You can make up your own damn mind whether or not you find these answers satisfactory or not. I personally don't. I think that at this, like, I had decided, last month that I wasn't going to play anymore, but I was curious whether or not Alim could salvage this at all in my mind. And the answer here is no. I understand that they have a financial goal to meet for their parent company to keep making this game and everything like that. But the actions for the last month, their answers show very little in the signs of regret to me, and very little promise that things will be better going forward. So, no, I'm not coming back to Brave Exvius, period. That is my answer. I will not be playing Brave Exvius ever again, because this is unsatisfactory. I may log in to delete some units, but other than that, that's basically it. But all of this was compounded by one of the more awkward things that has ever happened on a live stream, which involved Cero. Cero is one of the cosplayers. And I want to bring this in because it was very... I very well want to bring this in here, where they were talking about issues that were happening, and I mean, you can say if this, you can decide whether or not you think this is scripted, but this is pretty uncommon of what happened next. Because this was the part where Cero actually got triggered, and we use that term a little bit lightly, but this is something that even I want to talk about, because, yeah, I understand where Cero is kind of coming from on this. Apparently there have been a massive amount of negative comments on the YouTube videos for the Japanese side, and I get it. I get that people are angry. I see it in my YouTube comments too, some really shitty people. And you know what? People who are who want to vent and get angry, you have to remember that there are still people on the other side. They are still human beings. And for anybody who's trash-talking Cero or Miso, look, they're working a fucking job, you guys. Grow the fuck up and get off your damn fucking high horse. You know, they're just trying to earn a living and do that, and they get to do it through games. Sucks to be you if that's what you want to do and you can't do it. Get the fuck over it. But, you know, if you're actually targeting any of them with your comments, my real serious message is to grow the fuck up and realize, again, that it is probably the higher-ups that are making a lot of these decisions, not them, and potentially not even Hirano, even though he is a higher-up in Alim. But this really felt like a outburst of frustration and anger, and I have to say that I am 100% on the side of Cero here. Like, I get it. You're pissed off. Video games and media are a thing that we are all really passionate about. Why? Because it is an escape for us. It is an escape from our everyday lives, where we get to have some fun. We get to go to a fantasy world that is not possible in our world. And, you know, there are characters we love. There are characters we fall in love with and everything. But that, just because you're pissed off at a game doesn't mean you get to vent all your anger at just anyone. And while I'm not saying that this is obviously my YouTube commenters, I've seen this shit in my own YouTube comments. And YouTube is, the comments can be quite a toxic place. Thankfully, I feel like a lot of my YouTube commenters are, you know, pretty at least restrained. There's a difference between just, you know, vulgar stuff and actually coming out with a opinion. When somebody offers a opinion, it's something like, well, I think this sucks because this reason, this reason, this reason, and giving actual substance and a way to have a conversation or a dialogue about it. And potentially offering improvements. When someone's just, you know, saying vulgar, horrible things, that's just unacceptable, and I don't put up with it on my YouTube. So, yeah, I definitely do not like the situation that JP is in right now. It is not a great situation. I don't think that the answers that were given out are... And, oh yeah, I'm definitely guilty about it probably sometime in my past. Obviously, try to be better than you were yesterday is the other message. But yeah, this live stream held some stuff that will be exciting for people still playing the game, people who are looking forward to FF4. All the power to you. Enjoy it. If you get Cecil, cool. If you get Palom and Porom and you want them, cool. I mean, that's really awesome. There's also a free Rosa, and Rosa finally gets to be a 5-star. Man, evil laughter wherever you are. That one's for you, man. Take care of yourself, bud. But when it comes to, like, the vulgar hatred stuff, yeah, I get it. It can be too much. It can be easy to do. It can be easy to take out your anger or whatnot. But I really feel for Miso and Cero because they are just employees, essentially, doing a job. And, yeah, I mean, like, job market. Anyway. But, yeah, it is... The earlier half of this show was definitely a rough one to get through because it seems like Alim is just in this really awkward position. They have to deliver to Square Enix. They're financially obligated to deliver financial performance to Square Enix. Wherever the pressure is coming from, more than likely Square Enix executives, but either way, and I'm not saying... Probably really shouldn't either go after Square Enix executives because they're people too, and are obviously making a ton of mistakes right now, not just in this. But it's a rough situation, and it just doesn't seem like a overly positive situation for the JP side right now. So hopefully, Global, you can be a little bit better than this, but the future... This is entirely possible for Global. Maybe it doesn't come as a summon festival. Maybe it comes as something slightly different. But these are the things that are going to make a big, or that are going to decide whether or not this game is, or even the future of things like War of the Visions. Because whatever policies we see here can be implemented into War of the Visions. So we should demand... I guess here is my final thought, because this video is going on way too long. I think that we should voice our opinions, but we should do it in a constructive, non-vulgar way that does not target people that are not responsible for it. And while I understand that a comment section is a place to vent your frustrations and anger, remember that the people on the other side are human beings that have to deal with that stuff a lot. And even if you just say, oh, well, get tougher skin, at the end of the day, that stuff does still affect you in some way. Like, even the toughest person. You know, I'm going to leave you with a quote from one of my favorite movies, my most favorite movies of all time, which is Lawrence of Arabia. The first character, puts out a match, and he's amazed at Lawrence puts out a match. He doesn't hurt him. This other soldier tries it, and it's just like, ow! Well, it damn well hurts. Well, of course. And then Lawrence answers back, well, of course it hurts. The officer's like, well, what's the trick then? And Lawrence of Arabia answers one of my favorite quotes ever. The trick, William Potter, is not minding that it hurts. And that is one of the hardest tricks of all. Anyway, you guys, love and respect to Miso and Cero, who obviously have to put up with a ton of crap through this difficult time. We're just doing a job, trying to earn a living so that they can keep on going. All the power to those girls. As for Alim themselves, I really find their answers unsatisfactory, and hopefully they'll get a little bit better for the future. Because Brave Exvius on the JP side really can't keep going the way it is going with some of these answers. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you next time.